Yo, what's good, everybody? Let's talk about Brian Norman Jr.'s obliteration of Jin Sasaki. I'm gonna start off with saying that going into the fight, I thought it would be an entertaining fight. You know, it's two fighters with dynamite in their gloves, but not for 1 second did I ever think that Sasaki would win. I thought 9 times out of 10, Norman Jr. would knock him out. Sasaki just has a glaring hole in his defense. Right, I thought Sasaki's only shot at winning was landing a bomb on Norman, a picture-perfect shot. I didn't think there was any other way that he could win, so I didn't really think it was going to be a competitive fight. I thought it'd be fun, like in the sense that there was great potential for a highlight reel knockout to occur, but I didn't think it would be competitive. And the fight essentially turned out exactly how I thought it would, but a lot more on the extreme end of my expectations. I knew that Norman was better as a boxer. I thought that was obvious. I knew that he had better technique and defense and IQ, but not to that extent. Right from the start, the difference in literally everything was clear as day. The overwhelming physical advantage was clear. Norman's advantage in speed and strength was just tremendous, and the skill gap as well was just much too wide. Norman's technique was so much better in every way. His footwork, his balance, his defense, everything was just so much better, right? And of course, his IQ was on another level as well. You could see he was the thinking fighter. You could see he was the one setting up the shots. Brian Norman Jr., he showed incredible poise. He was so relaxed, so composed, so sure of everything. This fight right here is the perfect example of difference in levels. As the old saying goes, there's levels in boxing, and Norman Jr. was 2, 3, 4 levels above Jin. Truly, it was a complete mismatch, right? But enough praising Norman Jr. I do want to break the fight down a little bit. So in round 1, Jin came out real intense. He was real antsy. I suspect there was a lot of nervous energy there. He was very reactive as well. He was already biting on Brian's feints. I think he definitely got caught up in the moment. It's a title shot at home. That's big for him, And he proceeded to show his flaws in the very first 15 seconds. Those flaws, of course, being his technique and his defense, as he started swinging wide, home run type of shots without any type of diversion at all. And obviously, his recklessness and defensive irresponsibility resulted in a knockdown. Norman Jr. showed, as I said before, great poise. He was cool, calm, and collected. He simply just threw a counter left hook, a sharp counter left hook that grazed the top of Jin's head as Jin was overextended, and down goes Jin. All this in the first 15 seconds of the fight. Of course, the fight didn't end there. Jin got up. Didn't look hurt at all, to be honest. But as soon as he got up, Norman applied heavy pressure behind the jab. Now, Sasaki is typically the pressure fighter. He's always the one on the front foot, right? This was unfamiliar territory to him. He wasn't used to being pushed back. So he did the only thing that he did know to do, and that is to attack. So in an attempt to keep Norman Jr. off of him, he shot with him, right? Unfortunately for him, Brian's straight, concise, and precise shots landed first, and he dropped again. Now, once he got up, he failed to learn his lesson. And again, with a high guard and his back against the ropes, he tried to lure Norman Jr. in, but Brian knew what he was trying to do, right? He was too smart and focused to fall for such an amateur trap. So the rest of the round, they stood toe-to-toe and went bang for bang. I thought Sasaki did better up close, where he can let his hands go and just sort of connect with Norman Jr. It didn't matter much where he was hitting, whether it be the gloves, the arms, or if he was actually landing clean. He just needed something to hit, right? Now, he did land a couple of left hooks, but they barely got a reaction from Brian. Norman Jr.'s composure in the pocket allowed him to place his shots better, making it so that he landed the cleaner, more effective shots during the entire exchange. And I thought from the very first round that it was clear as day who was in there to box and think and who was in there to slug it out. But nonetheless, an action-packed first round, very entertaining and very telling as to what's to come. Now the second round was a little bit better a round for Jin. There was a couple of moments where I thought he did what he should have done, and that is to smother Bryan, get up on his chest and work inside. Now he did this and he actually found a little bit of success. However, the more educated fighter in Norman Jr. continued to really just pick him apart with superior technique and shot placement. Now moving on to round 3, Jin actually landed a flush left hook on Norman Jr., right? Probably the cleanest he's landed all fight, and it was just ineffective. Right after he landed that hook, Bryan spun him around, had his back on the ropes, and just wailed on Jin, right? Now Sasaki was shelled up, and he was just getting beat on like a heavy bag. Bryan was just teeing off on Jin. Most of his shots were blocked, but even the ones that were blocked were physically moving Jin, right? Some were even blasting right through the guard. When Jin tried to move away from the ropes, Bryan just shoved him back to place and continued to just wail on him. He almost was ragdolling Jin around. He was just so much stronger than Jin. Now, Sasaki, that man right there is all guts. That man is the true warrior. As he was getting battered, he was letting out war cries to hype himself up. You know, that's sick. That was pretty cool to see, I'm not gonna lie. But Bryan didn't care about none of that. He didn't care at all. And he probably has the best poker face in the game. There's no change in his face, no change in his demeanor or in his body language. He was in there to do a job. It was all business for him. He didn't care about none of Jin's antics at all. No, he didn't let up on Jin until the bell rang, right? Round 4 was another solid bounce back round for Jin. He went back to what worked for him in the second round, and that is to get up close and smother Norm and work inside. To break it down simply, if the fight was fought in the mid-range, Norman will continue to pick him apart in clinical fashion, right? But if the fight is fought inside, then at least Jin has a shot. And truthfully, this philosophy proved true once again, as Jin did land a handful of power shots in this round, right? And for everyone that he landed, it seemed to give him a little bit of boost of confidence. You could literally see hope and belief re-enter his eyes as a shot landed. His demeanor and energy just changes. However, unfortunately for Jin, for a power puncher, his shots just didn't seem to bother Norman Jr. much at all. And despite the success in this round, Bryan might still have done the better work, which leads us to the final round of the fight, where one of the cleanest knockout punch I've seen in a long time took place. A nuclear, perfectly placed, perfectly timed left hook just detonated on Jin Sasaki's face, and out goes the lights. Bryan Norman Jr. is a natural badass, a genuine bad dude. Back to what I was saying earlier about his poker face. This man just landed a monstrous fight-ending hook, and there was no change in his demeanor at all. And he showed no emotion. And before the ref even called the fight off, he was already bowing and thanking the fans. This man just went to Sasaki's hometown and thanked everybody, as Jin Sasaki was on the floor, motionless in the middle of the ring. For him to behave in this way makes me think that he knew this was coming. He felt it was inevitable, and when it happened, he felt that there really wasn't no need to celebrate. This man, Bryan Norman Jr., is a cold-blooded killer, a hitman of sorts, an assassin. A masterful performance from Bryan Norman Jr. He was surgical in the way he picked Jin Sasaki apart. His catch and shoot counters were accurate and lethal, and when he let his hands go, he was inflicting so much damage. Jin had no answer for Bryan's offense. His high guard was futile because Bryan did well to shoot around it, or he'd simply just blast through it. And if Bryan had the correct angle, he would also peel it off. So Norman Jr. was quite literally superior in every aspect of boxing, and that includes his team and game plan as well. Everybody was on top of their game. Yo, Boots, know you just announced that you're going up to 154, but yo, you gotta stay at welterweight and fight this man right here. You can't not fight this man after he just dropped a bar in the post-fight interview talking about you're fleeing the division. I mean, come on, man. You gotta stay and fight this man. Brian Norman Jr., people, he is maturing in front of our eyes. He's so young, and he's steadily and rapidly improving in all areas. And his confidence, IQ, and poise continues to grow at an alarming rate. I really think his technical proficiencies, hand speed, power, accuracy, and counters will give Boots problems. His IQ is up there, and he is one laser-focused individual. He's a no-nonsense fighter. He's there for a job. He is all business. It's contrasting styles, him and Boots. That would be a phenomenal matchup. But very quickly, I do want to show my respects to Jin Sasaki. Like I said earlier, this man is a true warrior. He's one of them types that you really have to nail to the canvas. He's gonna keep coming. He has a warrior's heart and mentality. I mean, this guy, he is fearless, and he should be praised for that. He is all guts. I would, however, advise him to work on his technique and defense. He just experienced the world level, and I hope this defeat serves as a major wake-up call and a reality check that though he does have raw power in his fists, he must hone his skills in order to really land something of consequence against the world level opposition. I do hope Jin recovers fully and quickly. I hope to one day see an improved version of him in the world stage again. Alright, so that's it from me. I want to hear from you. What did you think of the fight? Do you think Brian Norman Jr. can beat Boots? What about Tio or Devin or these guys coming up from 140? How do you think he does against them? And is this the KO of the year? Because I really think this is it. I don't think it gets much better than that. But please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. And please leave a like and subscribe. I really want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a lovely day.
I mean, I wish I had a certain fight coming up, but they heard B Norm the storm coming, and you know I know what happened when the storm comes. You grab your boots and run.